Welcome to the Buddhist Boot Camp podcast. Our intention is to awaken, enlighten, enrich, and inspire a simple and uncomplicated life. Discover the benefits of mindful living with your host, Timber Hawkeye.
Some people think Buddhism and mindfulness are just about sitting on a meditation cushion and clearing the mind of all thoughts. But meditation doesn't stop thoughts from forming in your mind. You just learn to notice the thoughts but not give them any attention. Meditation is called a practice because random thoughts about the past or the future will inevitably pop up, and as soon as you notice them, you bring the mind back to the present moment. You hear the thought and you ignore the thought. It's why Bruce Lee said that you don't find peace, you choose peace by what you choose to ignore. Doesn't that sound a whole lot more peaceful than chasing every thought that comes across your mind? And although meditation can help us stay calm in real life, here is how life gives us many opportunities to choose peace. While riding the bus the other day, I overheard two people talking about Buddhist monasteries, and one of them said they could never take the monastic vows because monks have to shave their heads. Now, I know for a fact that this isn't true because in one of the 3 temples where I used to live, monks were actually discouraged from shaving their heads unless they were priests. Did I feel the urge to interrupt and correct the people on the bus? You bet I did, but I stopped myself. I'm used to hearing elaborate lies and unlikely stories about the future invented by the anxious voice in my own head. My mind comes up with worst-case scenario premonitions, and I used to treat those thoughts like they were factually accurate. But most thoughts don't deserve our attention, let alone our reaction. And the good news is that we can all become experts at hearing and ignoring the voice in our heads, and we don't even have to learn a new skill to do this. Meditation and life itself are a lot like a trip to the grocery store, where thoughts are items on the shelf and we can choose to walk right past the ones we don't need. When you go grocery shopping, you likely ignore certain products or skip entire aisles filled with stuff that is of no use to you, right? Whether it's baby diapers if you don't have a toddler at home, puppy chow if you don't have a dog, seafood if you are allergic, and so on. Our minds have gotten increasingly efficient at sifting through tremendous amounts of information and stimulation to only focus on what matters while disregarding the rest. Let's call it your choose it or skip it superpower, which is a skill you already practice at the market, and I have found it to be incredibly helpful when dealing with anxiety as well. Anxiety is a voice in your head, and you can even give it a name if you'd like, because that voice is not you. My anxiety's name is Anxious Andy, and he constantly overestimates imaginary threats, but he underestimates my ability to deal with them. He's also known as fear, false evidence appearing real. You are not your thoughts. Haven't you ever had 2 opposing thoughts competing for your attention? One thought tells you to be responsible and go to work, then another thought tells you to ignore the first thought and just go to the beach instead. You are neither one of those 2 thoughts. You are the one watching them argue. Did you grow up with the cartoons depicting an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other? That is a great visual to help you wrap your head around the idea that the voice in your head is not you. You are the one who can hear the voice in your head. And I believe we can learn to hear but ignore that voice, just like you see but ignore cat litter at the store if you don't have a cat at home. The mind already knows how to do this. We just need to practice it more frequently, like when you hear someone on the bus saying something that you know is not true and letting it go. Did you feel the impulse to argue that it was rude, antisocial, or maybe even irresponsible of me to miss a perfect opportunity to educate the people on the bus? Don't worry, I felt it too. And that's the ego within all of us wanting to be right or superior by making others wrong or inferior. After enough time and practice, we can all learn to mind our own business and stay out of other people's conversations. The only reason I am telling you this story is because it's a perfect example of how we can train ourselves to hear what isn't true, like the voice of anxiety in our heads, but to treat it as background noise, not as a call to action. This can be helpful for dealing with general anxiety and the intrusive thoughts that many of us experience, but it may not be as effective for disorders that cause panic attacks or intense terror, in which case interventions such as therapy or medication might be necessary. I want to be really clear about this. I don't think the anxious voice can ever be truly silenced, but I also don't think it needs to be. We just need to learn to ignore it the same way I walk past bean sprouts at the grocery stores because gross. Not every thought deserves your attention. This is how ritual on the cushion turns into practice in real life. Just like you count your breaths during meditation from 1 to 10 and then return to 1 again. Whenever a thought arises during the day, use your choose it or skip it superpower to notice but ignore anxious Andy, dismiss thoughts that don't serve your highest purpose, and return to the present moment. If you have a trip planned and your mind starts to worry about a possible storm or flight cancellations, return to the present moment instead of spinning out of control. Again, you already know how to do this because it's the same muscle or neural pathway that you use when you ignore certain products at the grocery store. You just need to apply that superpower when it matters the most. And after enough practice, nothing except for imminent danger will trigger you.
Timber Hawkeye is the best-selling author of Buddhist Boot Camp, Faithfully Religionless, and The Opposite of Namaste. For additional information, please visit BuddhistBootCamp.com, where you can order autographed books to support the Prison Library Project, watch Timber's inspiring TED Talk, and join our monthly mailing list. We hope you have enjoyed this episode and invite you to subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being a soldier of peace in the army of love.